M Card. Today we are going to be taking a look through my trade binder for Magic the Gathering. It is pretty large, but we're going to see if we can kind of go through, just take a look at what's going on. Okay, so I will say I did my best to separate out the pages based on color, but I was not 100% successful, as I have a significant amount of things like multicolored or lands that wound up kind of having to go in some blank spaces, but for the most part this is color coordinated. So starting off, we of course, and I do apologize for the glare, I tried to fix it but I was unable to do so. We've got some random cards that I've just kind of stumbled into, lucky enough to have actually an entire playset of Anointed Processions, because I played them in Standard way back when. We've got, you may notice, the signed Urza's Ruinous Blast, which was signed by, unfortunately, Noah Bradley. I would like to state for the record, this was signed before it was revealed that he kind of sucked as a person. Some Adorned Bouncers, again, kind of a remnant of when I played relatively competitively. This was a promo, a game day promo, that I won enough at the time to be able to have an entire playset of those. Some other random cards. Some Gideons, my personal favorite Planeswalker. True Conviction also has a Gideon on it, as a fun fact. We've got some random foils. A wedding ring in case you want to marry your friends. Some Secret Lair cards, Mesa Enchantress, Unbreakable Formation. Most of these were cards that I wanted to find a home for in my own decks, and maybe someday I will, but not quite the spot at the moment. So some more just staple white cards: Leyline Binding, Elish Norn, Farewell, and then you can kind of see the remnants of some multicolored spots that I couldn't put anywhere else, including an amazing Omnath that I did wind up winning in a Pioneer tournament. I want to say I was playing Abzan Greasefang at the time, but it may have still been Azorius Spirits, I'm not 100% sure. So, some blanks, which should have been filled out with white cards, but as you saw with the multicolored. Moving into our blue spells. Again, Nexus of Fate, which was a buy-a-box promo at the time. The LGS that I went to didn't get rid of all of their buy-a-box promos, so they actually wound up giving some out as like tournament prizes. So it's super cool that I was able to get a full playset of those as well. We have, again, kind of a pride and joy of the collection that I think will make some good trade fodder at some point. We have a Counterbalance Invocation, which I did wind up pulling out of a pack. That's the only invocation that I wound up pulling, which is super cool. Again, the signed Noah Bradley before it came out that he is a douchebag. is always a fun story when people are flipping through the binder. The Wall of Lost Thoughts, it doesn't look like it belongs here, but for some reason a foil Wall of Lost Thoughts is like weirdly expensive, so it deserves a spot in the binder for that, I suppose. The Will Kenrith here, and I imagine we'll see his sister Rowan at some point, is the promo. It's kind of hard to see the date on him there, but when we did the Battle Bond pre-release, I actually got Will and Rowan as my promos, which was super, super sweet. Some other just kind of random foils, promos. Of One Mind is actually another of those. It's just a foil common, but it's surprisingly expensive for some reason. Okay. And here you can kind of see that some trades had been made. But I've also got some Nazgul here. I've only got the 3, but still kind of neat. So moving into black, some random staples. I think actually, as weird as it is, all of the cards on this page, you would expect the alternate art Liliana of the Veil to be one of the more expensive, but she's actually kind of fallen. And once her price dipped down, I bought a playset for Abzan, Greasefang, and Pioneer, and through playtesting found that the deck really only wanted 3, so the 4th one has a spot in the trade binder. Some other random cards, and yes, I know, more Noah Bradley. I may or may not have gotten the entire cycle signed, which there's still foil versions of cards that are playable, but man, I wish they didn't have a signature on them now. Some random foil uncommons that again are just weirdly expensive. I'm not sure why. I mean, Cauldron Familiar and Lord of the Accursed I get, but Vizier of the Scorpion I have no idea. Valky, God of Lie is also very good. Haunt of Hightower, another of the Buy a Box promos that I got from a former LGS. Again, not for buying the boxes, just for winning tournaments, because they couldn't get rid of enough of them. A bunch of promo Bolas of Citadels. Some other just kind of random cards. We did get a Phyrexian Language Shieldred the Apocalypse, which is definitely one of the coolest cards that I've got in the binder. I don't think it's very expensive anymore, but when I pulled it, it was like the chase card from the set, which is super, super sweet. And then moving on to red, you can see again just kind of some staples. Goldspan Dragon, Terror of the Peaks, Jessica's Will, Dockside, now banned in Commander, but I'm sure it's still got a place somewhere. Some dragons, some goblins, Arclight Phoenixes, Rowan, so there's Will's sister. Also the Secret Lair Ancient Grudge here with the dog barking at itself in the mirror is genuinely one of my favorite arts of any card. It's so cute. Got some other just kind of random promos, some secret lairs, a blood moon in case you wanna, you know, have all your friends hate you. And then Muxus Urabrask, Solfim. So there's one half of our binder. We're gonna shift to our other half. So this is where we start with green. Got Escape Shift, Prime Time, Just kind of like almost a modern package right there. And a lot of the cards on this page are really dark. I apologize for that, but it's things like they're all secret lair cards, which I feel like it's not a good sign when all the secret lair cards on a page are super dark. But it's Coco, Primal Vigor, Sakura Tribe Elder, Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and Bloom Tender. Some Impervious Great Worms. Again, buy a box from an old LGS that were won in a competition. But I have a playset of Impervious Great Worms that I will probably never use, but it's at least kind of cool. Oh, and you'll notice too, this Feral Prowler down here is miscut. So it has the bottom of another card right at the top of it. So it's not foil, it's not super expensive, but because it's a pretty noticeable miscut, it's in the binder. I'm probably never going to use it, but someone out there might. Some other just kind of random cards. Noble Hierarch, Ignoble Hierarch, some Hardened Scales. Mostly just kind of playable cards that I think would be solid to trade for other things. A couple of foily Edgewall Innkeepers. Another Force of Vigor that should probably actually be with the other Forces of Vigor, but you know. And then we get into our multicolor cards, and again, I tried to keep them relatively well sorted, but this is the section that gets picked through the most, so they're probably not all sorted as well as I would like. But some Teferis. I don't really have a place to play the Teferis now because I primarily play Pioneer and Commander, and they are banned in Pioneer, which is a tragedy because they were a phenomenal sideboard card for my Azorius Spirits deck. And they're good in Commander, but I don't have a ton of blue-white decks, so that's why they're in here. Some Tezzerets, Atraxa, a bunch of very big Commander staples, like Teferi, Uro, Omnath, the secret lairs for the gods of Theros. I have a couple that are not in the binder. Like, for example, I have a Karametra deck where I use this version of Karametra as the commander. Some other just random commander cards. So like Tuvasa, Ikra, Ishai, Rayhan, Sir Gwyn, cards that came out of Commander, or I guess technically Brawl decks in the case of Sir Gwyn. Some other random cards. Getting into Planeswalkers. I also have an Urza Academy Headmaster, which can't really see any play because it is silver bordered, but it's a card that when we did the, I think it's Unstable pre-release, I wound up pulling an Urza, so I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna force 5 color, and it I lost a lot. Some more commander cards of the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. They're very playable cards, but they're not cards that I personally intend on playing. So, some more of the gods. Some Wrath Capuchin, which was one of the first commander decks I actually built, because I pulled a foil Wrath Capuchin, and I was like, oh, shoot, okay, that's a sweet commander, that's fun. And then, eventually, I became a monster and turned that deck into a Lavinia deck that is basically hard stacks, so, you know. we got a bunch of partners here. So Bruce Tarl, Ikra Shadiki, File Smasher, Ravos, Crom. And then you can see I didn't have spacing for the switch between Multicolored and Colorless, so they're on the same page, but this is where we start to move into the Colorless cards. Again, just a lot of good Commander cards. Things like Karn the Great Creator, Morophon, Roaming Throne, Unlicensed Hearse. Also, this weirdly attractive Meteor Golem Secret Lair card, which I don't know why they had to make Meteor Golem of all creatures, like, weirdly attractive, but, you know, props to them for taking that chance, I guess. Some Mox Amber that I don't even remember how I got a playset of Mox Amber. I think that I wound up actually opening most of them, and I don't have decks for them because I don't really have anything that cares about very cheap legends, but it's definitely a card to keep an eye on because there's always uses for zero cost mana rocks. My banned Jeweled Lotus over there. Some more just kind of playable Panharmonicon, always very good. Also banned in Commander Paradox Engine, which is an unfortunate ban, but also probably for the best. And then our final couple of colorless cards, just normal cards and some secret layers like the Soul Ring and Gilded Lotus. I think the Soul Ring is actually not a secret layer. I think that was... oh boy, I think it was a Command Fest. I think I went to Command Fest Richmond in 2021, maybe 2022, and got that there, which was super sweet. And then we move into our lands, which again you can kind of see it's been picked over a little bit. Lands are very good trade fodder because you're always going to need lands. We've got a mismatched play set of Steam Vents, which irritates some people, which is always a good time. Some more Shocks, some Triomes, Urza Sagas that again I have no use for because I don't play Modern. Some more Shocks. Lands are not quite as entertaining as the rest of the binder because they're just lands. So, but we'll end it off with not a land, but a very beautiful and lovely squirrel token because everybody loves a good squirrel. And as much as I would love to have a squirrel deck, I unfortunately do not. So maybe I will look into putting one of those together. But that is my trade binder. I'm gonna see if I can get it closed back up here. So, thank you for joining me on this little adventure through the binder. It also is a good reminder for myself that I definitely need to reorganize because there are a lot of cards that need to go in here, a lot of cards that should probably come out, and it reminded me I have some cards to throw into some decks. So thank you again for watching. This has been ASM Card, and I will see you all next time.